Hey, step to the plate, I'ma swing for the fence. Throw me the lob, I'ma dunk it like Vince. They think I'm from Sac with the way that I'm ballin'. I feel like a king, but I'm fresher than Prince. Baltimore raised and fly like a raven. Made it through mazes, that shit amazing. Vision so clear, they thought I got LASIK. Cradle to grave, we pounding that pavement. Made up my mind, told them pass me the rock with the game on the line. I'm taking a shot. Shit, all of my life had to play from behind. And now they just watch, like, is he gon' stop? I tell them I can't. They think it's a game, they take me for joke, I just laugh to the bank.
Hey everybody, thanks for coming back on another episode of the WWB Sports Podcast. We got, just before we get started, if you're listening to us right now, follow us on YouTube. Do not be a thief of audio. Go on YouTube and follow us right now. Go to Instagram and follow us right now. Support the great content that we have. Right now on this episode, we're going over AEW Dynamite, New Year's, and also AEW Rampage for the New Year's. This is a year-ending episode, and I have on literally one of the most talented musicians, creatives, artists in all of pro wrestling, and just in general in the creative space. So everybody, welcome back on the King of the Six, Mr. Eloquent.
Hey. Glad to be back as usual. Thank you for having me, and hope everybody listening is having a great Christmas, Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate.
Christmas, Honda, Kwanzaa. Yeah, bro. If everyone is listening, you can hear that me and Eloquent both noses are stuffed up as we speak. It's like we're like twins. We're like sinus twins. We just get stuffed. That's how close we are as buddies. Like our sinuses plug up at the same exact time.
Yeah, no, but I mean, everybody, go, check yourselves, take care of yourselves. I don't know how it is where you're at, but up here, it's like everyone and their moms that I know is getting sick. So. Yeah,
I want to put on my tinfoil kufi and think it's something bigger than that, but who knows? Yeah, let's hop into it, brother. I'm so excited to talk about this week's AEW Dynamite and Rampage with a guy who's been a fan since AEW started, just like myself. And Randall, he struggles to do this, so we're gonna get it going. So to start the show, we had quite a show. We had Death Triangle versus the Elite. We had Ruby Soho and Willow Nightingale versus Tay Mello and Anna Jay. We had Ethan Page with Stokely Carmichael and Bryan Danielson. We had Samoa Joe and Wardlow, Top Flight and Claudio Castagnoli and Jon Moxley. So what a stacked card today for that Dynamite. Talk to me a little bit. What did you like about Dynamite? What were some of the things that really stood out to you personally?
I thought it was a great show. Like the word around the campfire is that, I guess because of the bad weather, a bunch of folks that they, I guess were supposed to be there, like couldn't make it. So it's kind of one of those, not really like a skeleton crew show, but they're a little short-handed, but in my opinion, you never would have noticed. There was a lot to really like. What was my favorite thing on the show? Like I really the I guess match 6, the Elite Death Triangle. I mean, I thought that was a great match. I mean, I know you're not super into like the hardcore or like Falls Count Anywhere stuff, but I like that they've sort of, for the most part, they've put a different sort of spin or edge on every single match that they've had. Bryan Danielson versus Ethan Page. I thought that shit was a blast.
Yeah.
Some good storytelling beats just throughout the night. I felt like nothing like overstayed its welcome.
Yeah. Let's be honest here. Over the last couple of weeks, AEW sounds like they kind of got their stride back. To me, as a lifelong watcher since the very first episode in DC, it looks like they've found their stride. They're paying attention. They're not so herky jerky with all these different storylines starting and stopping. It seems like they're focusing on a specific group of people, and then they're adding other people in as well. So it's been enjoyable over the last couple of weeks. It sounds like just the presentation overall, maybe the new executive that they've hired in terms of production has maybe helped them just to be a little bit better when it comes to segments and just being a little bit more professional, a little bit more major league, so to speak. Have you gotten that feeling as well?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if the guy that they, I guess, poached from WWE, I don't know if he's like officially started.
I think he has.
So, well, yeah, maybe. Either way, I've definitely felt, and I mean, you know me, I've always been a big fan of the show, even when I guess other folks aren't quite as high on it. But I do feel like the direction and so forth has been noticeably a little tighter, a little cleaner over the last few weeks as well, for sure.
Yeah, because we both, as go ahead, I'm sorry, go ahead, brother.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, like, most weeks, even with my fandom and so forth, it's like I'll enjoy the show, but then there's usually like 2 or 3 things on it that are like, bro, like, what the WTF? Like, what is this? Or like, or in your mind, it's like, man, you could have put this person in its place, or they could have, where it's like this is a really good show, but these 2 or 3 things prevented it from being great. And yeah, over the last few weeks, like I feel, and again, the show's not without its flaws, even in its state now, but just as a seamless start to finish watch, and I think it even applies to Rampage too. Even Rampage, I find, has been a little more entertaining.
Better. Yeah, especially this one.
Maybe this is a really good one.
Yeah.
Because I like the show because I like wrestling, but it hasn't really felt like a must-watch show for almost since the beginning. But they're trying to do the little things to make it a much more pleasant viewing, I should say.
I agree with you 100%. No doubt. We'll talk about Rampage and it's finding its stride as well. And no doubt they keep talking about the new era of AEW. And if this is some of the foreshadowing of what that could be, I'm more than excited about what that new era really looks like. That new presentation, focusing on really telling stories and, giving Ricky Starks multiple screen time. He doesn't just evaporate into thin air. It's been extremely great. Let's talk. I'm going to break down a couple things as well. Stokely Carmichael, the dude has just been really on fire. I love the little things that he does. Like Stokely, he like the whole outfit he had with like the paisley shirt and everything, and the hat, the Von Dutch hat. Yeah, Stokely looked like a Bass Pro Shops management new hire.
Bro, that trucker hat, bro.
Yeah. That was a heel move. That trucker hat was a heel move.
Well, because he came out with the hat, and I'm just like, Stokely, baby, what are you doing? And then I remember, oh, that's right. Danielson roasted him for the bald head,
and then he turned it backwards, didn't he, during the match as well?
Yeah. But I forgot. I mean, we I guess didn't really talk about last week, but that whole you raggedy. I mean that. I don't know if I've laughed harder.
That should be a T-shirt
for a segment. It should. I hadn't laughed harder at a pro wrestling segment maybe all year.
Yeah, I would literally buy that shirt, like with him yelling it and like him coming down the ring with the microphone in his hand and just like the words "you raggedy bitch" just coming out, like the letters coming out of it. Like that'd be dope. Stokely, hit me up, bro, for branding ideas.
He's a treasure, man. His Twitter. Following him on Twitter is just a delight in and of itself. Just jokes for days. But I guess a lot of the discussion around this time that I think I've seen a few of the homies bring up is like, who's been like the best like pro wrestling active who's the best. Who are some of the best acts that they've brought into the company over 2022? And there's guys like Swerve and I don't know, maybe like Tony Storm or a lot of folks, but them getting Stokely, in my opinion, that's among one of the top ones that they've done. Just everything he does is just so entertaining.
Yeah,
and so I'm so happy to see him mix it up with some with a top guy like Bryan Danielson.
No question about it. Stokely, don't miss. I love the match with Daniel and Ethan Page. Ethan Page has really, over the last couple of months, really elevated his status towards the top of the mid part of the card. The dude is just amazing. His physicality is great. He has the charisma. He can talk on the mic. I had put some notes in here. I said Daniel Bryan put him in the cauliflower crossface instead of a crippler crossface due to his vegan stances. I said he gives me Subaru vibes. The Subaru submission machine. That's his new nickname, the Subaru submission machine. I love Daniel Bryan. His level of violence and his storytelling is great. Great match. Really great way to do it. Joe went from being a Jehovah's Witness to Tommy Bahama Joe because he was wearing the flower shirt, which was really good. He had the nice little tropical shirt, and he was attacking Wardlow with a pipe in the back. I love the fact that they did the attack in the back. They followed it up in the ring, and it was something that was a curveball. I didn't expect Wardlow to be attacked by Samoa Joe. Did you like that little angle in the back with the pipe?
Oh, I absolutely loved it. I mean, it achieved so many different things at once. Okay, I like Wardlow. Yeah. I really like. He's a fun guy to watch, and him just beating people's asses will never get old to me. But the TNT title reign, it was all right. And when they put it on Joe, I mean, I just assume that this is probably just a transitional thing to maybe get it on someone else, or I didn't even really know exactly what they're going to do, but I think you kind of forget because I mean he's just been a babyface since he came into the company, but you kind of just forget how awesome Joe is as a heel, and him just saying yeah, I'm king of television, just with that bass in his voice, and just him being a villain, just him being just such a bully, just makes for great TV. It was great too because it advances that character. It gives Wardlow an out.
Yep.
To take that L later in the night, which he did.
Yeah.
But then it also makes him look like a badass for hanging in and almost getting the job done. No, I loved everything about it. AEW is interesting because I think they try to swerve the audience and sort of do different things, and so he gets hit with the pipe, and I didn't know okay, well, are they going to just have someone else wrestle Joe?
Exactly.
I for a moment I didn't know exactly what they were going to do, and as a fan, especially as a smart fan, it's awesome when you don't know exactly what they're going to do. So any opportunity they get you to sort of where they sell you a ticket and you just don't know what's going to happen, that's always a plus. So very, very simple thing that they did, but I thought that it achieved multiple different things, which improved the angle, improved the match that they subsequently had. Definitely a fan of it.
Great point. Yeah, no doubt. It left me wondering, I didn't think, I was like, he's not going to make it to the ring. And then when he made it to the ring and all that, it was a great story to be told. But hopping quickly over to Hangman, this was kind of annoying to me personally. Not a bad thing, but it was annoying. Hangman, every freaking Dynamite this dude is sitting on a medical thing. It's like, how do you have time? Like when you make a doctor's appointment, how do you have the perfectly timed on a regular pro wrestling show in the back? I know we're living in the pro wrestling world, but it's like you have these random doctor's appointments during Dynamite, and it's like, how many more updates do we need? And then I thought it was kind of corny when they talked about if he doesn't calm down, he may never wrestle again. Like, we know that's not the case. That was just corny wording, these random medical updates. I'm good with one or two. I'm done. No more medical updates at this point. What did you think about that?
Well, luckily for them, they did. Well, I guess they kind of sort of announced that Hangman and Mox are going to go at it at that LA show on the 11th, I think.
Yeah.
So, well, but it's interesting because at least Mox laid out the challenge, so which means we're going to get it. But it was kind of like okay, well, I'm going to be here on the 11th, and let's do it again. ... If you can get cleared. So I'm sure next week, because it'll be 1 week before that LA show. I'm sure next week Hanger will probably cut a promo and be like, "Hey, good news, I'm cleared. Mox, it's on." So it's, I don't know. I'm torn because that real life concussion, that shit was like really, really just scary to watch on TV. And the way that they've played off of it, I thought it's been great. But I'm with you there. They did it once, they did it twice, didn't have an issue. Especially when Bro keeps like chasing after Mox and throwing them hands.
Yeah.
It's, I'd say, probably 2 times to my limit. The third, it's kind of like, okay, I'm going to give this a pass because I know that they're going to wrestle soon, obviously, and that's obviously in real life he is cleared. Otherwise, they wouldn't even let his ass in the building.
Yeah.
So it's like we talked about suspension of disbelief in pro wrestling, and that one, while it's not offensive to me, they definitely pushed it. They pushed it.
It's met its expiration date.
Right. I'm with you there, brother. I'm with you there.
Hell yeah. Let's hop over to Top Flight versus Blackpool Combat Club, Jon Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli. Really, initially, when I saw this match, just giving you my quick take on that, I was like, oh man, we know Top Flight's going to lose. Now, Top Flight and AR Fox has won a trios, the $300,000 convoluted name battle royal thing. They won that, which was super dope. Great match, elevated their status. I love that. But here I was like, when it first started, I was like, Liam Nielsen is probably having he's probably climaxing in his pants at this point, because it's like these 2 black kids getting their head kicked in by Jon Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli. That's how I started initially. But as the match continued, I was like, I like this. I can't say that Top Flight was elevated in this match, but I will say that they looked great. They had a worthy performance, even though they lost. But I didn't think it really did much for BCCC. If they want to work with the younger guys, I can respect that and I appreciate that. But I don't think Top Flight was really elevated. I think they were highlighted, but I don't think they were elevated. You get what I'm saying? So, and then also Moxley was doing a lot of heel stuff here. So I think ultimately BCCC or BCC will be a heel faction at some point in time. But what did you think? Did you think they were highlighted or elevated? And how did you feel about this tag match?
Love the tag match. Just guys like Top Flight and just as a tag team. I mean, there's just been like a black cat just following them around, and here's to hoping that both of them stay healthy and can actually make a run, because would I love to see them in the mix with the Acclaimed or whoever is the tag champ at the time at some point? Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, highlighted, they're definitely highlighted, no doubt about it. As far as elevated, so the question there is, do we think more highly of them coming off of this defeat than they did coming in? I guess that's in the eyes of the beholder. I mean, I've been a big fan. I've been really high on this team for a while. I think Mox and Claudio, they let them get a lot of their shit in.
Yeah, definitely.
And their offense, and I think that AEW sort of has to, and they've been trying to lately, but I think they have to sort of reteach or sort of reschool the audience in that, like I know everyone has seen like a lot of Dante over the last year and a half, and great high flyer and so forth, but just as a unit, like Top Flight are them, and if like they always talk about like pillars in AEW, from Wheeler and MJF and all of the young guys for like the foundational pieces. Mm-hmm. If they were to sort of do like a tag team pillar, I'd say Top Flight are one of them. And so I guess I would say, yes, it's an elevation just in terms of, I mean, we've seen Mox especially just run through people, when the story dictates it. So whatever he gives a little more, lets folks get a little bit more of the shit in, and especially when he starts sort of kind of more working heel, like working that heel role. I would call it an elevation. I mean, I don't think that people are going to wake up today and be like, okay, these guys are ready to take the straps from the Acclaimed. I don't know if anyone's saying that, but you have to sort of just position them and make sure that these guys look credible to, the ROH champion and effectively your face of the company. Yeah.
And as much as people, go ahead.
Fantastic.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah, as much as people talk crap about AEW's ability to book, especially when it comes to the mid card portion of AEW, when you really look at the youth of AEW, especially in the tag division with Top Flight, they are going to be a centerpiece and pillar of that tag division. Their youth, when it comes to the young, early 20s, AEW has a crop of young people in their early 20s that really, in 3 to 5 years, are really, if presented correctly, if told the correct story, if given the right type of presentation, they're in really good hands. I mean, their youth division is going to be amazing. So hold your horses, folks, about the mid card, but the youth, though, wow. I want to hop over really quickly to Kip Sabian. He looks like Little Sweetness off the Dr. Pepper commercial with that haircut and that presentation. Sweetness, little sweetness. But I like it. I'm glad that Kip Sabian's getting some screen time. But I do want to hop really quickly, though. I don't want to stay because we'll talk about Kip Sabian on the Rampage portion. But I loved that hook that Jack Perry came out to help Hook when big dude was about to choke slam him down. I love that because Hook is getting an opportunity. He was hot. The crowd, the girls, the gals love Hook and Jack Perry. The dudes are just handsome young men. They are boy band. They look like a traveling pro wrestling American Eagle model group, right? The dudes are just handsome as hell. I can see where they appeal to middle America. They could just go on a world tour. They're giving me, boy band vibes. I think that honestly, I'm going to say something radical. You ready for me to say something radical?
Okay.
Hook and Jack Perry, Jungle Boy, need to form a tag team. And this tag team should be called the Handsome Devils. They are both, it's a play on words. They're both handsome guys. It allows Hook to continue to get on television. It allows him to continue to work on his craft instead of just being a judo throw type guy. It gives him screen time. It puts him with Jungle Boy, who's elevating and kind of, Jungle Boy has been kind of in that, kind of stuck in neutral, kind of, and it's been trying to figure out how to place him on television. So I think they should form a tag team called the Handsome Devils. What do you think?
Well, first and foremost, that segment, I agree, was awesome. Hook squashing Old Boy in like 25 seconds. I think at this point he kind of might be beyond doing squashes, but but the whole purpose of the segment was for what led after it rather than the match. And so, W. Morrissey, Big Bill, pulls up in the ring and, throws 7 feet. Hook, I'm guessing, was 5'10".
Yeah.
And then tell on TV. And, and just that just that size difference between them on camera, and the fact that Hook did not flinch a bit.
Yeah,
that's. I mean, just that stare down and him just not backing down at all. I just think that did so much for Hook and just his character and just the whole aura. As far as him and Jungle Boy as a team, yeah, I'm all for it. Although I think the internet has already dubbed the team Jungle Hook, which I must say
trash.
Pretty clever. It's clever.
Jungle Hook? How? Oh, Jungle Book. Aha, Jungle Hook. Ha ha ha. But the Handsome Devils just sound so much more badass.
Oh, I agree. I'm with you. But when I heard Jungle Hook, I'm like, oh, it's just clever enough that it's gonna stick.
Okay, I'm gonna put it on Twitter. I'm gonna put it on Twitter and Instagram, and we'll see. But yeah, Jungle Hook, I get it. Okay. It sounds very like mayonnaise. A lot of mayonnaise in there. It sounds like.
Facts. So I'd love to see them as a tag team. Now, the thing is that if they were to be a tag team with just the way that some of the stories are playing out and so forth, I mean, I don't think it's going to be a long-lasting tag team. I mean, Jungle or Jack Perry, I keep calling him Jungle Boy, but Jack Perry, I mean, he still needs to. He still needs to catch Christian and run him that fade.
Yeah.
The injuries sort of what's held that off. Because even though that story is kind of pretty much over, but that's sort of like the one loose end that they still need to get to at some point. And I feel like this is sort of buying time for that to happen. But if that means that they roll as a tag team for a month or so, hey, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Like I said, that stare down with Big Bill, that alone made me 30 times more interested in wherever that story is going than before it. So.
And it's a really smart move by Tony. Go ahead, huh?
Oh, I was going to say, yeah, just and if they can get Lee Moriarty into the mix. I mean, he's a guy he's part of the farm, and I guess part of that story too.
Yeah.
And I think he was kind of the forgotten guy out of the four of them. But yeah, I can see a cool Big Bill, Lee Moriarty versus Handsome Devils.
Yeah.
Get them on a dynamite in a good slot. And yeah, I think they could do some good business there.
Hell yeah, definitely. The visual of Hook looking up to Big Bill, that was crazy. It was beautiful. Really want to talk about, I loved Chris Jericho's promo, very straight to the point. He's a veteran with this promo game. Starks, direct, straight to the point. Didn't overtalk it. He did exactly what he needed to do with the promo. I was proud of Starks. He's just, in 2023, it's a big year for Starks. I see some leather around his waist at some point in time, in one way or another. Your thoughts on those promos?
Promos are great. I mean, Ricky, from basically day one, I've always thought was one of the best promos, and he's just a rock star. Like he has that appeal to him. Just whatever he's doing, you're instantly just glued to it. So yeah, the promos. Chris is such a veteran. He knows how to put the opponent over in a way where like he's talking down on him, but he makes sure that that this guy is a big deal, but I'm going to beat his ass.
Hell yeah.
Here's my concern though.
Okay.
And again, I've been enjoying their interactions and so forth. One of my biggest issues with AEW, and specifically with Jericho and his faction, I like JAS. My problem with them is that everyone who they feud with for 7 months, it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to have this match, next week on Dynamite. And I just have this feeling that Chris is going to go over, and I'm not
Oh
You know, I'm
God.
not angry if that's it. I'm not angry if that's how they do it, but you know,
I don't. I
Chris
just hope
goes
that
over.
I see the thought that he could possibly go over, but I think at this point, Chris Jericho's goated. You're right. He's one of the greatest of all time, the first undisputed WWE champion of all time, Intercontinental. He's had everything. The dude has just been great across the board. Ring of Honor champion, AEW first inaugural. He really needs to just put over Ricky. At this point, you got to put Ricky over.
Well, the thing is, I'm not saying he's not going to put him. I'm not saying he's not going to put him over, but I think, part of the reason why Chris is who he is that, even though he's done everything that he's done, he still needs to win and beat credible opponents in order for wins against him to matter. If he is kind of one of those older guys who, loses to everyone, that Action Andretti upsets doesn't mean anything, right?
That's true.
So I say this.
Mm-hmm.
So I say this. I think that, and I could be wrong. We'll see what happens. I think that Chris will win next week in some sort of undermined fashion or whatever, and it'll turn into a story between Chris, or rather JAS versus Starks, where at some point down the line, Starks will get his win back.
Pay-per-view maybe?
Yeah. Maybe he goes over, like Chris goes over on Dynamite, and then they run it back at was it Revolution, which is in March. Yeah. And then maybe that's when Ricky gets that signature, really that first signature pay-per-view win. Yeah. Because I don't think he has that signature pay-per-view win yet. Yeah. So I can see them doing it like that, which again, I'm not going to have a huge problem with, but what I don't want to happen is, it's May, middle of May, and they're doing, I don't remember the pay-per-view schedule, but whatever is happening in May, and those two are still feuding over it.
Yeah, that's
what I don't want to happen.
Yeah. All right, let's hop in.
Chris Jericho, I was just going to say, just to sum it up, because Chris Jericho and just his factions, whether it's JAS or the Inner Circle, like, they have good, in my opinion, they do some good stories and good feuds, but they always overstay their welcome. Oh yeah. And it's like, this is a 1 month feud. He had 4 matches with Orange Cassidy. Yeah. The MJF feud went on literally like a year. Mm-hmm. BCC shit just ended. Bro, like, that shit's been going since middle of last year. You know? So I'm hoping they exercise some restraint on this one. They do one or two matches and call it a day.
Yeah, definitely. Then I want to just. You said what you said? What was the last bit you said?
Oh, I was saying, I just hope they do 1 or 2 matches. Whole thing is done in a month or so. They just wrap it up. Each of them move on to something else.
Definitely. And the last thing I want to talk about, because we want to hop over to Rampage real quick, because I only got another 10 minutes here.
Right.
The Acclaimed, flamed the hell out of Jay Lethal and Sanjay Dutt, and just the bars, the Global Force dig, the Kurt Angle line. This kid can battle rap as a producer, as a person who works in the creative world and hip hop and all types of music. What were your thoughts, man? Because if it was literally like Ether, that dude cooked his ass. I was like, damn, bro. Every bar was fucking amazing. It was crazy. What were your thoughts about the Acclaim versus the diss music video?
Oh, out of all of them, I think that's my favorite or second favorite. I have a personal affinity for when they're going at Sting and Darby and making fun of them for being like emo kids. Yeah. But this, I'll be honest with you. I didn't even get that Kurt Angle line at first until I saw my Twitter timeline and everyone was just going crazy over that line, and then I read somewhere oh yeah. Kurt Angle's wife left him for Jarrett. Like, oh, wow, he really went there.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that. And I mean, you see it with, like, you know, I don't want to say WWE, but just anyone else who do these type of, like, rapper gimmicks, and, you know, they always go but so far.
Yeah.
And I actually kind of really respect that Max just doesn't give a fuck, and, you know, will cross any line to get a pop. I mean, he's got to be careful with that.
Yeah.
They'd get him suspended once in the past.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I think, like, he tiptoed right on that line without going across.
Mm-hmm.
Fire.
And people don't understand how hard it is to really write a rap, like a legitimate song from A to B that rhymes, that makes sense, that has swagger and everything. I'm going to buy his albums, and whenever he comes out with an album, that dude legitimately got bars.
He does, because right before, like, pay-per-views, at least pay-per-views I think they're booked on, I mean, he usually, like, you know, books a show, like, the day before in whatever city they're in, and, like, he does, like, a legit concert and so forth.
Yeah, I seen him at Battle Slam. He's amazing. He's a star. When you just in his presence, when he was at Battle Slam, and he's super dope. He's just really, the fans love him. He's a really good, personable person. You can tell that by just being in his presence. So I have had the privilege of seeing Max Caster in person. The dude is big too. He's a big grown man. Let's just say that.
Bro, I saw like my first ever Dynamite I went to was in Rochester. Yeah. And the Acclaimed were booked on the show, and they came out, you know, their theme hits, and at the time they were beefing with the Guns, mm-hmm. and so, like, I think Austin like snatches the mic from him, like, before he kicks anything, and that whole crowd was pissed. But that got more heat than anything else that entire night. And that was actually the same night that they turned on them, and Billy turned on them too. And bro, I thought that crowd was not here for it. It was kind of at that point I knew, oh boy, Tony Khan's got something with these guys. Like, there's an emotional connection with this crowd over the fact that Max didn't rap. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. And that might be the story of the year. Tony did show wisdom with understanding how to give them the rock and let them run with it. And again, homegrown AEW talent, winning the titles. And the same thing with Hook. I think Tony's getting some things to correct. As his life has slowed down, he had a lot going on over the last couple of months we've heard about he was dealing with. But and a lot of injuries, a lot of turmoil. But Tony is turning it around. I will say overall it's getting better. But let's hop over to Rampage really quickly. We got a couple more minutes left before we finish up. Things that stood out to me. Go ahead. You going to say something?
Oh, no. So, yeah.
Okay, great. Yep, hopping over to Rampage. Yeah. All right, Jade Cargill, Kiera Hogan, Leo. This is one of the best matches that Jade Cargill's ever had, period. The timing, the work rate, the physicality. Kiera's a really good wrestler, by the way. And for those who don't appreciate and understand how great she is. What'd you say?
Yeah, she's a vet. And like at this point in Jade's like development and career, because I think the thing with a lot of her matches is that like the quality will vary depending on who her dance partner is. Like, there's some folks that she just really hits it out of the park with. Other folks maybe not so much. Like, you know, maybe some of those like indie folks that they bring in who you don't know, and you know this is going to be a 2-minute squash. But yeah, they've run it back, I think, like twice, maybe 3 times. I want to say twice though, and both times they're among one of Jade's best matches. So they it's interesting to see what's happening with the whole like Red Velvet thing. Because I feel like there's some story beats there. I think they're sort of trying to just tread water at this point, get Jade to 50 before, you know, or at least 49, before something happens where maybe her reign is threatened. Because at this point, you know, you just don't buy anyone who could fuck with this girl.
Facts.
But I do love I do love that. And maybe that's kind of why they split them apart. It's like, like we need you guys to wrestle because you two have something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm with you. They definitely did some good stuff in a relatively short match, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, we're gonna clap it up for the ladies. I think that's top 5 matches of Jade Cargill's 2022.
And just shout out to just the AEW ladies in general.
Straight up.
For all the criticism, most of it rightful. The last month and a half, that division's just been cooking.
Hell yeah. Jamie Hayter's really a beast.
And I've been high on her since her first brief stint in the company. I mean, I've seen a couple of her matches, a few of her Stardom matches, but when she came back and we just had her sidekicking for Britt, and it's like, you separate them or get her in the picture. I mean, she's one of those big match performers. She'll put on a classic. If you put someone with her who's even half of her skill, but yeah, she's that joint with Sheeta is low key one of my favorite matches of the year.
Hell yeah. And 2 other things I'm going to follow before we finish up here. Swerve, again, we talked about this. Swerve has been one of the biggest, brightest acquisitions in AEW over the last year. The dude just continues. And I think people do take for granted how smooth, how talented, how multi-dimensional his skill set is. The dude, him and Wheeler Yuta, the match kind of started a little choppy, but when it, because they were trying to do, chain wrestling, which is fine. But when they got into their groove, excellent match. Swerve, I just love this dude, Swerve. I really do, because I think, honestly, if you're talking about the top 10 of who should be in the top 10 of the AEW in terms of championship contenders and who really can produce on the mic and charisma and in the ring, Swerve should be in that top 10 of people who should be in that championship area. And I look forward to seeing what happens with Swerve in 2023. What did you think about Wheeler Yuta and Swerve, and what do you think about him in 2023?
As far as in 2023, honestly, I would say that he's bound for for the AEW World title, if not for the fact that I don't see a scenario where MJF loses that belt, before maybe the end of next year. Because because he keeps telling people, I'm leaving to go to WWE in 2024, yada yada. But so I guess what I'm saying is that underneath MJF or besides MJF, he's a top heel in the company.
Yeah.
Like he's so smooth in the ring, cuts a great promo.
His group is very intimidating now that they've actually gotten screen time. His group is very intimidating. When you look at those dudes, they're very intimidating.
Yeah, and it's I don't know anything about the guy with all the hella face tats. Apparently he's been training with Jay Lethal, and
yeah,
I don't know. I have no idea how good he is. Parker Boudreaux, he looks the part. I'm not really feeling what he does in the ring, but that's okay. They don't have to. They don't have to be crazy work rate guys, but they're big and imposing. And Swerve's a guy who, you can definitely see him leading a faction. I just hope that, they. As far as heaters, as long as they're not sort of overshadowing what Swerve does, and by that I mean they're not they're not always cheating for him and so forth. Maybe it's just Swerve throws someone out on the floor and then they stomp on him for a bit before they throw him back in. Swerve doesn't really need. I hope they don't try to turn him into that chicken shit heel.
Yeah,
but Swerve. And the match is great. That little running side kick.
Oh my God, so perfect.
I haven't figured out how he does it where he's not actually kicking people's faces off. Maybe that's just magical for TV and the cam work. But every time he does it, and I can see him slapping his thigh, but it just looks devastating.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Oh, it's one of my that and like the Kenny Omega Z trigger might be like the two moves in wrestling that pop me like nothing else.
Yeah.
But Swerve, one of the underrated things with him, he has an awesome evil smile.
Yes, he does.
He looks like he's up to no good, and that you better not trust this guy.
It comes through, doesn't it?
It does. It really, really does. I'm maybe more high on him than anybody else. I'm interested to see the eventual match that him and Keith have, but yeah, I'm partly glad that they ended that tag team, because I really, really enjoy Swerve's like solo work.
Yeah.
And I just, again, I don't think he's going to win the AEW World Championship next year, but it'll be a shame and a disservice if he's not at the top, like near the top of the card all throughout the year.
No question about it. Big alpha energy. The dude is just performs, and he just continues to just elevate himself. And last thing, quickly, I really think that that Will Hobbs should be at the TNT at this point. Darby's had the TNT title several times. Give the damn title. Give. Why are they so helter-skelter with not? We know Hobbs are giving us a story about the story of Hobbs and blah, blah, blah. But reality is he should be right there. We should be having this conversation about him being in the TNT hunt. And they just went straight to Darby. So I don't know what they're doing there, but they need to get to Hobbs quickly. And the brother is just ready to go.
But I actually think that's what they're going to do. I think that, putting Darby in the title spot for next week it serves a few purposes. One, the show's in Seattle, and from what I understand, Darby's a Seattle guy. So
is Swerve.
And Swerve too, and Bryan Danielson.
Yep.
But you give that crowd a cool main event or a cool big match, and if he's to win, and I'm not 100% sure that. Because I can imagine that, Wardlow comes back and like screws Joe out of the win or something like that. But let's just say that they put the belt back on Darby. I think that he would just be a transitional champion. Maybe let him hold it for 2 or 3 weeks, maybe a month. And, because they took Hobbs off of TV, but they've been showing these really, really cool vignettes. And I hope that once he comes back out, that he's just a bigger beast than he was before, and he just like runs through Darby or some shit.
No question about it.
I really thought that Hobbs was going to win that belt in that 3-way at was it Full Gear with him, Joe, and Wardlow.
Yeah.
And I don't know, and maybe this is sort of the avenue to get there, but. Yeah, he needs some gold on him for sure. I actually just bought Hobbs's AEW figure. I caught it the other day.
Oh, dope! He's just badass. He's been taking the gym real serious too.
Oh yeah, he's a beast. He's a beast. Love Hobbs, and when I'm trying to get some more small black wrestler figures up in the collection.
Oh yeah.
I'm waiting to get a Swerve one. I got an old Isaiah Swerve Scott WWE figure, but I need that AEW one, like with the grill and the jacket.
Yeah. I'm going to be buying hella merch in 2023, like T-shirts, out the galore, hats, whatever's made. I'm just buying it. It's just going to be the case. And I think when it's all said and done, when we look at Hobbs' career, he'll probably be at least a 1 or 2 time AEW champion. I think at least a 3 or 4 time TNT champion, and probably, and he'll probably also get at least a 1 or 2 tags. So when it's all said and done, if he stays with AEW, the dude is going to be a multi-time. He just looks the part. He has the part. He has the swag. He has the anger. And I think maybe the big way for him to win is probably going to be him as a face. That's what I think. But yeah. But anything else before we finish up, sir?
Young too.
Yeah, he's young. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, he's got years on him. Let's see. I mean, I know we didn't really touch too deeply on it, but just sum up my thoughts on a couple of other matches. Orange Cassidy and Trent was a fun joint. Interesting story beats there, especially with the whole Kip Sabian thing. Looking forward to seeing where that goes. I'm really glad that Ruby Soho is back. Mm-hmm. Her and Willow are actually, I actually really, really like the idea of them as a team. Mm-hmm. That they can't just get all the way like on the same terms, and hey, that could be a cool little avenue for Ruby to split and like turn heel, and they can have like a beef or a feud or something. I don't know, but that sort of just came to my mind. What was the Dynamite main event? I don't remember.
Oh, the Dynamite main event was let me go back. It was
Joe.
Yeah,
it was Joe at the Virgo.
Yep.
And now someone's ponytails, like them fighting words.
Hell so, yeah.
Well, we'll have to see where that goes. But yeah, overall, Dynamite, really, really enjoyed it. I mean, some people I saw online were saying it's like the top 5 episode of the year. I don't know if I'd go that far, but certainly one of the best ones over the last month and a half.
Yeah.
And ditto with Rampage too.
Hell yeah. Yeah, great way to end the year for them. And then I look forward to the new era in AEW. Eloquent, thanks for coming on. Extremely talented human being. Your perspective is always appreciated on the podcast. Where can people find you, sir?
Thank you for having me, first and foremost.
Yes, sir.
Again, happy New Year's to you and to all who listen. You can find me on all the socials. We'll see what Elon Musk does with Twitter, but at ELAQUENT on IG, on Twitter. I mean, just type that name onto Google, you'll find me.
Hell yeah, man. Thanks so much for everyone for coming on, all the fans throughout the year who's listened to us. You've helped me get through so much. I've had a lot happen in my personal life of losing some family members, and just talking about wrestling with people like Eloquent has helped me to appreciate the good things in life and to just push through and move forward and just be happy. And wrestling is my happy place, and I hope it is for you as well. So follow us on WWB Podcast _ on Instagram, YouTube. Please follow us at the official WWB Podcast, and to continue to support wonderful voices like Eloquent and myself. And we will see you in the new year. We are out.